Coach Russ Brown with Kentucky Today. Could you just kind of sum up for us what's going on right at the moment, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, so last week we started our, voluntary lifting portion of the program, bringing guys back. I think, I don't know, around 42 guys that worked out last week that are working out this week. Then we brought in 30 more guys this week. On Monday, they're testing and going through physicals and all that. So roughly 72, 3, 4 guys that are in right now. So they'll start working out. We'll go to phase 3 by the end of the month there. That'll be pushed out, head into July before they can start doing anything. And then, we'll have roughly 90-some guys by July 6th, which I think is a Monday. July 6th is a Monday where we'll have roughly 90-some, low 90s that'll be in here working out. So that's kind of where we are right now. And all these guys are doing basically is, lifting and running right now. Everything is going great so far. Guys have come back in really good shape. That's the one thing as coaches you kind of worry about, what kind of shape are the guys going to be in. They've done some great work on their own back at their homes, and they've really actually exceeded where we thought they would be. And the first phase that we brought in of those first 42 guys were guys that are, those are players, those are starters, and some guys that are, maybe first or second team that are right there. So, it's probably your better players, obviously, but they've come in with great attitudes and in great shape. So we're excited where we are right now. And man, Matt Summers, our trainer, and Coach Mike, a strength coach, and all the guys have done a great job with everything that we've put in place here, all the precautions for these guys to come in here and be able to train and do it in a safe manner. And so, everything so far is going smooth, and, we'll keep our fingers crossed with that. I mean, we all know how delicate situation that we're in right now with all of this, and we're trying to do our part to do things right.
From your comments, no, go ahead.
Oh, Coach,
I take it. No, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Peter Baugh. I actually cover Mizzou football and have been working on a story about DJ Smith, who I know you hired at Appalachian State. And I was just wondering what impressed you enough to bring him on staff and how he was to work with when you were there.
Yeah, DJ was a player that played for us at linebacker there, started 4 years. In high school, won 4 straight state championships. So he's a winner. He's been a part of winning programs his whole career. Played NFL and then came back. So, he was a good young coach that we thought would do a great job. Had never had a full-time job. We gave him that opportunity, and he made the most of it. But we thought he's a great guy, number one. And you take all the experiences he's had, high school and college, and then in the NFL. So we just thought he'd be a great fit for us and our staff, and so that's why we hired him there. And he's got a really bright future ahead of him. Great young coach.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Scott, to get back to your opening comments, I take it that you've not had any players or staff test positive.
Well, I think right now we're not going to really comment on any positive or negative on that. I'll just say that everything is going great so far.
Scott, hey, it's Jody Dimley it's Jody Dimley with Cardinal Authority. You talked about the players, but the coaches back on campus, or your coaches back in the office, and how long? I guess when was that? When did you guys come back as a staff?
We're back. We started back this week on Monday, and everybody in our building had went through the testing as well, and so we're all back and doing everything we can to whatever the guidelines have been set forward. That's what we're doing as well as a staff. We have not had any interaction with any of our players. We're in here, doing our meetings, offense, defense, recruiting, special teams, all those things. We are meeting with players, but we're meeting virtually. So that hasn't changed. So we're doing our team meetings, our special team meetings. Everything is still virtual, and we'll continue that at least up until camp, and we probably will still continue the virtual meetings even during camp. Again, just trying to be all the precautions we can take. That's what we want to try to do.
Hey, Scott, Cameron from the Courier Journal. Now, you mentioned those virtual meetings, and I think you mentioned in the past that some of the stuff that you guys are doing during quarantine will probably transfer over. But even as you continue to reopen a little bit more and even get past camp, what are some of the things you think you guys did during quarantine that you'll keep doing because it helps you guys in some way?
Yeah. Well, I think the communication piece that you're able to do from your home, I think it's the biggest change. And I think this is affecting everybody. Obviously, we're doing a press conference the same way right here. We will continue to be able to use this right here. There's no question about it. Whether we're talking to our team, position group, and recruiting. I think the biggest piece is the recruiting piece. I mean, you're able to do a call like we're doing right now, and where you may have a coordinator, position coach, head coach, their family, and we're all on the same call right here. And you're able to create the dialogue, and you're able to see the face and expressions and all those things. That man, we've been able to build great relationships over the period of time throughout this, the quarantine. And I think obviously it's paying off dividends for us in recruiting this class. I mean, you look. We're sitting here June 16th or whatever it is today, June 16th. And then this time last year, we may have had one commit, maybe, so we're way ahead of the game as far as recruiting goes. And I think we'll certainly continue to utilize that in recruiting as we move forward. I think the strength of our program is relationship based. And so I think that's how we're able to get these good families to come want to be a part of what we're doing here. And this is the next best thing. Now, obviously, we want to bring them on campus and interact and be around them, but we're just not able to do that. But we'll add that piece once we are able to do that. We'll still do these calls where we're like this and then bring them on. I think it's just going to even make it even much better for us. But I think that's probably the biggest thing is the technology piece we'll continue to use even after we get past this virus.
Coach Fred Calgill, WOKY, would you speak to the recent race relations issues and how you've dealt with the team, talk with them through some of these things, and how you can be a piece of the solution? I know you've been very proactive about it.
Yeah. Well, I think the key is just communication. I think that we've tried to be upfront and communicate with our guys, and I think that starts with that. But I also think that the way we've come in here from day one, whatever it was, 17 months ago, 18 months ago, we brought a type of individuals in this building that the way we try to treat our players was different than the way it was before, and right or wrong. But what we've always tried to do is treat everybody with respect and love on our guys, love on our staff, love on our players, and treat them all with respect. And I think, and I was talking with our staff, when a lot of these things started coming to light, and guys, we don't have to change any of that. We've done those things. I think the big thing that we all have to do is learn to listen and to learn and learn to take in and not always putting out. We got to learn to listen and take that knowledge and that information, and now we're able to act on that. And then we also told our players, we want our guys, listen, as coaches and as players, we have a platform, you're visible, so you can use that for the good. And I think we're enabling our guys to do that, but do it in the right way. I think that's probably the key is doing it in the right way. And but it all starts with love and respect, and we've tried to do that since day one, since we've been here. And I think obviously that's why I think we had some great success last year as a team. That's why we've had success in the recruiting aspect of this. We've had success just with our alumni and the people that support our program. I mean, so people are really appreciative of the way our approach goes, and so we're going to continue to do that, and hopefully, we'll get better with it. That's our goal, is continue to get better.
Scott, Cameron again, kind of off that. Obviously, you have Brian Brown, African-American defensive coordinator. There's not many schools in the country with African-American defensive coordinators. Shadon Brown. You have a lot of African-Americans on your staff as well. Yeah. How important do you think it is for these guys, these athletes, to see these African-American men in power positions and just know that they can relate to them in different ways?
Yeah, I think it's outstanding. I mean, it's a great it's a great role model for them to look at, to say, yeah, you can make it, and you're going to have some opportunities. You're going to have to work like all of us do, no matter what color you are. You got to work and you got to put the work in. And but it just shows you got great opportunity. And for Brian Brown, I mean, I've been around Brian for a long time now. I think he came to App in 2012, and obviously young. Had only been coaching a couple years. And he comes to App, and he's kind of, low man on the totem pole, so to speak. Didn't make very much money, but every year kind of got a little bit more of a promotion and another promotion. Then when I got the job as head coach, Brian was on my staff as a full-time guy. Then when our defensive coordinator left, I thought he was still young, but I said, man, this guy, he's very, very good. He's a good recruiter. He's a really good coach. He's a good teacher. He's a good person. He's a good family man. He's exactly what we want to be our defensive coordinator. And we hired him, man, and our defense didn't miss a beat. He actually got better, And so when I come to Louisville, there was no hesitation in my mind to hire him and to bring him on board and to be a part of our staff. And he does an outstanding job. And so, but for our guys to be able to look up to a guy like Coach Brown and Shadon Brown and Norv McKenzie and, some of these coaches we have, D. Nick now, and they're great men. They're great men. They're great family men. There are people that you can look up to. Not only our players, but like our kids, like the rest of the family's kids, can look up to these guys. And I think it's real important because that's what we are. We're not only coaches, but we're father figures. We're mentors. We're so many things to our players and everybody in this building. And when I go look to hire people, the first thing I want to look at is their heart. I mean, I just think a lot of things that's going on in the issues throughout our country is a heart thing. And so when I look to hire people, I'm trying to look at their heart. I want to see who they are. And to me, that's so much more important than X's and O's and how much football they know and all that. Yeah, we want that. We want, good, knowledgeable coaches, but I want guys that are all the other things too, that are going to be the type of people that we all want to be around.
Coach, this is from Cardinal Authority. You've mentioned recruiting a couple times, and clearly you guys have a lot of momentum going right now. And talking to a lot of the guys that are currently committed to you all, one thing that seems to be becoming a theme is how close they are becoming as a group already. Obviously, you can't mention names and things like that, but when they're so interested in becoming teammates so soon in the recruiting process, what does that say about the type of character and the type of guys that you guys are recruiting and landing commitments from?
Yeah, again, it kind of goes back to what I was just saying about when I look to hire staff members. It's kind of the same thing in recruiting. And so the very first thing we're doing, we're looking at film, right? We're seeing if these guys can play. That's number one. And then the second thing is, and the most important thing is, all right, who are these people? And, what makes them tick? What do they stand for? What kind of type of character do they have? And that's what we're looking for. And again, I want those guys that when we start putting together a class, that they're all kind of like-minded individuals. They're passionate about academics. They're passionate about being good football players, and they're passionate about being good citizens. And you put all those guys together, and they just started creating a bond. And so it's kind of neat. That's the other thing with the technology that we have now of how these recruits can be from all over the United States that we're recruiting, but yet they can still have a bond through social media, through all the things that they're able to do. I think it's awesome. They're creating that bond, and once that bond's created like that, it's hard for them to want to go somewhere else. And that, obviously as coach, you worry about that. We see some guys flipping here and there or whatever, but hopefully these guys have created that bond that's good enough and it's tight enough that they'll want to play for each other and be a part of something special that's going on. And that's what we're trying to create. Same thing with our team. A big topic is, these one-time transfers are able to go somewhere. Do you worry about losing guys? I think if you create a great culture and you create a great atmosphere where guys want to be a part of this, then you don't have to worry about that. What ends up happening is, guys, if they don't fit in, then those will be the ones that'll pop out. But the core, the ones they'll want to stick around. And so that's kind of where we're sticking with. We want those individuals, and we feel like we got some great guys that have said they want to join our family.
Coach, this is Aaron Matus with WDRB. Off the recruiting momentum, and I know you can't comment on it, but specific to the GIF you sent out last night, at what point did you think it was a good idea to jump up and hip bump Mekhi Becton?
You talking about what, it actually happened? I don't know. that was one of them in the moment type things. I think, here this big sucker's coming off, and I think right as I'm getting ready to leave the ground, I'm thinking, what am I doing here? And so, I kind of went a little bit low on my jump, so I didn't get knocked down. But that's just raw emotion. That's we have fun with our guys. That's one of our core values, is have fun, and we really have fun when we're out there on that field and we're around our players. We have a lot of fun. I mean, it's competitive, and it's you get into that thing, and it's sometimes it can be overwhelming. But for us, we just try to have fun and enjoy the moment. Like every time, all the hard work we're putting in throughout the whole year, you get 12 opportunities you're guaranteed to play in the past. I don't know about this year, but you usually get 12 guaranteed opportunities. But so we're going to enjoy those 12 times. And so, man, when we score a touchdown or we come off the field, man, we're going to celebrate with our guys and the joy on their faces. That's what we're doing this for. This is awesome. And so, but yeah, he's a big human being, but I survived it, and now it's a great gift. So that's why I'm using it.
Scott, this is Kent Spencer with WHAS 11. You kind of touched on it just a little bit there. Is there a little bit of concern that you may not get every game this upcoming season?
Absolutely, there's concern. It's really really concerning. The reason being is that nobody really knows anything. Everybody's got a little bit of information, enough to be dangerous probably, but nobody truly knows anything. And so, we got policies and procedures that everybody's kind of recommended, and we're doing most all those. We're trying to do our part, but every college has to do their part, right? I mean, in order for this to work, every school throughout the country has to do their part. The crazy thing to me is, depending on what state you're in, it's all kind of different, right? I mean, the universities can be different, because we can look in the ACC. Like, we're back now, Clemson's back. There's some schools that are back, but there's also 5 or 6 schools that are not back right now. So it's all kind of different and crazy, and and so absolutely it's concerning. Are we going to be able to play all our games and all that? Plus, that's 2 or 3 months from now. We don't know what the numbers are going to look like a month from now, 2 months from now. And so we're all moving forward with it. We all got plans, and we got great ideas about what we can do to try to make this happen. But at the end of the day, we still don't know. We're gonna plan like we're playing every single game, and we're gonna start the season on time and all those things. But we really truly don't know, and we're taking it one day at a time. So I think that's all we can do. Obviously, we all hope we're going to play, and our kids hope we're going to play, and our fans, and but we'll see. We'll see how it all works. I think just everybody's got to do their part and really take it serious. And I think that's the key.
Coach, this is John Clay with the Herald Leader in Lexington. With the recent events, a lot of people are saying that players now have more power and more say in what goes on inside the program than ever before. Do you agree with that statement? And how do you balance the coach-player dynamic with that in that regard?
No, well, I think that the players have always had the power. I mean, they really have. They've always had the power. Now, but I believe, obviously there's in any kind of organization, you always have to have, leadership. You have to have somebody or a group or whatever that's leading them. You have to have good soldiers that'll follow. That's in case in any organization. So you got to have those dynamics. But I think the way that you have to approach and have to do things is the way we do things. I always tell our players, it's your team. Like every year, I've told them that I've been a head coach. It's your team. We're going to be as good as you guys want to be. And I think when you have open dialogue with your guys and you keep everything up front and honest, and sometimes conversations it gets testy sometimes. There's going to be some confrontation sometimes. But when you leave the room, we're all on the same page. And I just think the open dialogue communication is the key. And then I think treating people with respect obviously is the other key. And and then I always tell them we're all in this together, and we will be. We'll all be in it together. And it's I think when you communicate and when you do things like that, then you got a much better chance, to be successful when it's that way. Because I want what's best for the players. I mean, we all do. I think we all do. I mean, so whether, we talk about the NIL stuff or the one-time transfer, like to me, all these rules that we're putting in and we're doing, player safety. I mean, just go back in the last 15 years, what we've done for player safety. So, but everything we're doing is for the student athletes, like everything, right? And they got a lot of great things. I mean, a lot of great things that they're getting now. And it's gotten better over just in the last 5 years with cost of attendance money, with what we're doing nutritionally right now, what we do with massages and the physical training and the treatment and all the things that we do. It's a great package that these guys are on scholarship that are able. They get free food, free housing, and all the things. It's great, and it's only getting better. And I think it's only going to get better. But I think if you communicate with them and we treat them with respect, I think that's what anybody wants, right? I mean, so I think that's where I think the way we do things here, we're kind of on the team, one of the teams that they're doing it right.
It's Scott Cameron again. I think it may have been a couple months ago, we were kind of talking about post-spring stuff and kind of guys who got banged up a little bit. The guys who got hurt, I think you mentioned Russ, Jack Fago, and a few others. Are they back on campus, and then how are they doing in their rehab process? Yeah,
that's the one thing that this break has really helped, I guess, probably all teams, right? Guys that were injured. You've had about 3 months now where they can kind of heal back up. So all our guys right now are participating. The ones that were injured are back, doing really well. And right now we're in great shape. And if we had to play a game today, there may be some that are still would be in question. But I think as we get to camp, I think all those guys will be ready to go and be 100%.
Scott, Russ Brown again. Getting back to the virus situation, a number of schools in the country, Ohio State, IU, SMU among them, are requiring their players to sign a waiver, acknowledging risk and so on, and basically absolving the university of any blame. Also, a pledge to follow the instructions and quarantine and so on and so forth. Are you requiring your players to sign any of those kind of things?
We do a checklist. It's only, I think it's maybe 4 questions a day before they come over here. Essentially what it is how do you feel today? Do you have a fever? Do you have any symptoms? Essentially you just check no to these 4 or 5 boxes, and then you're good to go to come over here. So essentially what our checklist is basically medical, of how you're feeling, and are you basically, you have any symptoms or signs that you possibly could have the virus. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. I think, and it's all voluntary right now. I mean, I know obviously everybody's at risk. I mean, you're at risk when you go get to the grocery store or when you go get gas. And our guys know coming over here that right now it's voluntary, and you kind of on your own, and so that's kind of how we've left it. But it's I know there's been a little bit of controversy on some of that, as people signing things and that nature. But you ask our players, do they want to be here, and it's 100% yes. I mean, they want to be here, they want to work out, they want to train, they want to play ball this year. So that's kind of where we are with it.
So no waiver of any kind to absolve the university?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think so. There is. Ken?
Yes, just to interject, yes, our all of our people that are coming back to campus do sign a document, but it's mainly to adhere to the protocols that we have in place.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Scott, with the commitments that you guys have been able to land so far without being able to bring them on campus, is that a little surprising, the amount that you guys have been able to come up with without being able to bring them on?
Well, I think if you asked me this 3 months ago, I'd say absolutely yes. But as we've gone through this, the uncertainty part of it, I think, started to jump in, and the recruits and their families were like, man, initially they were like, okay, we kind of want to wait because we're going to take our visits in June and those type things. And then as this thing is going out, everybody kind of realized, listen, I don't think I'm going to be able to take a visit. I'm not going to be able to see it. So that's where all these virtual visits came into place. And so, all the schools, we were one of the earlier schools to do the virtual visits. And so a lot of the schools started doing that. And I think you try to do the best you can with that. And I just think you build this relationship kind of like we're doing on the call right here. We you talk to them all the time. And you were able to start getting some, and one here, one there, and then they start connecting. And next thing you know, it just starts, it's kind of like a roller coaster. And the last couple of days have been big for us, and we're going to have some more down here very soon as well. So initially it was surprising, to answer your question, but here in the last month, no, really I think more and more recruits and families realize that, hey, we're not going to be able to go see any school. Let's virtually. I've seen the place. I love the coaches. I love what they're doing. Let's go be a part of this right here.
Scott,
just a quick follow up to that. It feels like maybe in college football, and more so than a lot of other sports, when you get a kid commit, it feels like it's really game on. Like it puts a target on their back up until that signing day. I mean, I think you can agree with that.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like with the way things are now, that may be the case this year now more than ever, even?
Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think that remains to be seen. I do think, like for us, and what we've noticed is when we've offered some guys this year, like we've offered some guys, and 2-3 days later, man, they start popping big time offers. I mean, which it's kind of blown our minds. I mean, that's happened at least to 25 guys where they may have one Power 5 offer or zero. We offered, and the next thing you know, they've started to pick up, and that's what ends up happening. The dominoes start falling. It'll be interesting to see, to your question of what happens, because I think a lot of that's going to come down to, are guys going to be able to visit schools? One of the big question marks right now, and the question, so we're talking inner circle right now, and I think this is the term that's kind of been used throughout the country with a program. So we want to keep our bubble tight, meaning the people that's in our building, all our players and all our staff and everybody that touches our players in this building, ever how many that is, let's say it's 150 or 170, keeping that inner circle tight and not letting much come into that circle so we can try to prevent anything from transpiring with the virus. And if that's the case, then will schools want to bring a bunch of recruits in and different families from all over, and try to get, so that, to me, that remains to be seen if that'll happen or not. So this may be one of those years where guys really can't get on campus and they have to do it virtually, and maybe they get in their car and they just drive on their own and kind of just see things, so that remains to be seen. I think now if that happens where you can't do the visits and stuff, then I think people are obviously going to stay where they are and go ahead and go to those schools.
Scott, this is Aaron with WDRB again. How challenging was maybe the task of which players to bring back? And obviously, I think you mentioned you wanted some of the impact starters, but I'm just wondering if there's some guys that you maybe thought were better off coming back to campus than they were on their own.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's certainly true. I think after talking to a bunch of coaches throughout the country, there's, I think several schools had some guys just kind of stay on campus that didn't go home. And we had some as well. Situations were better here than back at home where they were at, safer and all the things that we've talked about in the past. But, for us in this first phase of who we wanted to bring in, I think it was mainly, guys that needed to obviously continue to get treatment, that if they were injured, and then also guys that we felt we needed to lean on that needed to play this year. I think both of those things, and that's kind of how we got to that number, the very first phase. And then the next phase for us is 30 more guys, was really the next tier. And so as you look at that, I mean, that's going to be 70 guys that are here now. I mean, that's your team, really. That's going to be the guys that are going to have to play. And so we just felt, let's get the guys that are going to really have impact on our team in the earliest. I think is really what it boiled down to. And anybody that was already like here living, and we had a couple that were not in phase one, but they're still around, but they're not here within this facility because, again, all the strict policy that we have in place.
One more for Coach.
It's Jody again. When you had about 13 or 14 guys, I think, enroll early, but now you're going to get the rest of the newcomers. Some of them are already on campus. The other ones reporting this week. How excited are you to bring that group in and to kind of, really the first full recruiting class that you guys have had here, because you get the late start the first year, to get those guys on campus and get them started and working in the program?
Yeah, and it's real exciting. We had 15 guys that were here in January. They were participate in spring and all that, and we love that. And then to be able to get these newcomers, the guys we haven't seen, we're anxious to get them in here, see where they are. We know they're going to have a lot to learn. I mean, it's going to be their first time. I mean, I don't even know how. I couldn't imagine being an incoming freshman right now with all the uncertainty that's going on, and now all of a sudden you're coming to campus and we got all these stringent rules that were in protocol that we have in place. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult for these guys. We're going to do some extra things to make sure the first time guys are comfortable with everything and everything that's going on. And, but it's exciting to have them here, Jody. I mean, we, obviously spent a lot of time in recruiting those guys and been with them their whole senior year, and to get them here on campus finally is going to be awesome. And for us to start working out with them. And we know, we feel like, I think maybe today they're going to put the policy in place of the return to play protocol, and roughly going to be 6 weeks, I think, before we play our first game, those type things. So we feel like in July we'll be able to start working with our guys on the field a little bit, and we're going to be excited for that.
All right. Thanks, Coach, for joining us.
Yep.
Can I get one more? So, Scott, real quick, Anthony Johnson has been a guy who's really it seems like he's emerged as a leader the past couple of weeks, getting the march going over the Big Four bridge. Was he a leader before this, or is this just giving him an opportunity to blossom into a role? And if so, how good is that to see?
Yeah. Well, I think he's, he probably wasn't one of those guys that were in the forefront of leadership, but he was a leader within his room in the corner, in the DB room. But I think what he's been able to do the last few weeks with this is, like you mentioned, to come out and provide leadership in that aspect, I think has been outstanding. It's been awesome for me to see him do that and to really be proactive with that. And he's not the only one. There's been some other guys, but I think he felt very comfortable stepping out and speaking about it, where I don't think, some don't, all different personalities and that type of thing, but he feels comfortable stepping out. And we encourage that and applaud that. And I thought his words what he said the other day was great and was, I think was right on target. And so, again, it comes back for us to, have a platform for our guys to be able to speak out and to really promote change in a positive way. And I think that's what he's all about. That's what our players are about. So we are obviously going to encourage that, but I'm proud of AJ for doing that and obviously encourage it.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.